Hi, and huge welcome to the Sovereign Free Life podcast. And we're really happy to be here with Dabo, our dear friend and colleague now. Since just a few weeks back, we have started to collaborate around a beautiful, beautiful platform that you built to create so much more freedom, automation, sovereignty for people and families out there, and would love to start out with just you introducing yourself and letting people know a bit about your background and how you came into this and how you actually started to build this beautiful platform that we're working with.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. First of all, I'm stoked to be on here with you guys. So stoked to be chatting. And yeah, I mean, how far back do you want me to go? Should I start all the way from when I was little, or just like kind of what my life has been like since starting business, or
Yeah,
well,
you choose. It's all up to you. I think
I like your, I mean, we talked a little bit off camera about your
Mhm.
life in your interesting mix of cultures.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, sure.
we
All
can
right,
go through
cool.
that.
Let's start. We'll
yeah.
we'll start at the beginning. Let's do it. Um, all right. So yeah. First of all, as you guys know, I'm Dabo, and I'm half German actually. So my whole mom's side of the Germany, as far back as they know, 100% German. And then on the other side, my dad is West African from Senegal, and same thing, as far back as he knows, like full Senegalese. And yeah, so I'm just like an interesting mix of completely opposite cultures and races. And yeah, so I grew up. It was kind of it was wild. So my parents split up when I was about two, and I just went with my mom, and my mom traveled all over the place. So my mom was, had gotten into African dance, which is why she went to Africa, met my dad, and then that led her to start doing, teaching African dance. They owned a school and stuff, and so she was just always super into traveling, which was, I gotta say, like, I'm super super grateful and super blessed just because I've had such an interesting upbringing, which has just shown me so many different cultures and things. And so it started with, living in India for a while. We lived in India for a year and a half, or I guess I was in Germany. And then until I was about 3.5, went to India for a couple years. And, again, just a complete culture shock. You're going from Germany, which is just so straight and everything is, a certain way. And then you go to India and it's just absolute chaos everywhere. There's cows in the street in the stores, and like it's monkeys climbing in your house and stealing your bananas. And it's like the complete opposite. And then I was there for a few years again, which was really cool. And then lived in Italy for a while after that. That's where, I went to school, learned Italian, went first through like almost fifth grade was in Italy. And then we ended up coming here where I currently live, which is Maui. So we moved from Italy to Maui again, complete culture shock again. Everything's different, humor's different, culture's different, fashion's different, everything's different. And I didn't even know what it was. Like, I remember my mom telling me, "Oh, we're gonna go move to Hawaii," and I was like, "Okay, cool, like, all right." And then I told my class, and my teacher like points at the whiteboard and or like pulls down her map and like points at the map. And all I saw her point at, and my seat was kind of towards the back of the classroom, was like the middle of the ocean. And I was like, "Wait, where am I going?" And I remember walking up and like looking and being like, "Oh, wow, that's interesting." And then yeah, I got here and we just like lived in the deep jungle. When we moved here, it's actually crazy at first. We lived in a tent for like a number of months. And it was, just again, total culture shock, completely different. And yeah, it just like what I was telling you guys earlier, I think having such a kind of strange, constantly changing dynamic lifestyle with a lot of like different cultures and different countries and different experiences. One, I remember my childhood a lot because I think there was so much contrast in it. And two, I think it just made me someone who just, I didn't fit in any boxes from the get-go. I was always very like, thought of things differently. And, obviously I wanted to like fit in and be a normal kid like everybody does. But at the same time, like as I got a little older and, got through school and was getting out of high school, or actually towards the end of high school. And this is really where like I made some serious decisions early on that led to like what my life has turned into, and I couldn't be more grateful for it. But again, I think part of that decision making came from having such a, interesting early life, childhood. And so as I got towards the end of high school, I think it was junior year, everybody started applying for different colleges. And so all my friends are like, oh, I'm going here and I'm going to Oregon and I'm going to, Colorado and I'm going to Cali, and they're all going to these different schools. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, snap. Like, I guess I should be thinking about this. Like, am I going to do this? And so I talked to like my school counselor, and she's like, yeah, you definitely should go to college. And I was like, okay, cool. So like I should go to college. I talked to my parents and they're all like, yeah, you should do it. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to college. And so I started like looking into different schools, and I, got this list and started looking at them and started looking at the different programs, and really quickly realized like I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no clue what I wanted to do. And I felt like I was like kind of being pushed and forced almost by everyone around me to go do this thing. And I thought about it and I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And I started looking at the classes and I was like, I don't want to do any of these stuff. Like prereqs, I have to do math again. Like I've been doing math for 10 years in school. Like I'm over, like, am I going to use this math in my day-to-day life? Like it's stuff like that, starts running through my mind. And I'm like, okay, what do I want? And so and to be completely honest, I was really excited to go to college because it just seemed different and new, and I was going to meet all these people. But I sat down and I asked myself, why do I want to go to college? Why am I excited? And the answer ended up being that I just wanted to go party for 4 years. I was like, oh, this is going to be like a great excuse to go party. And then that's what made me kind of question the decision. And I was like, but it's going to cost a lot of money and I'm going to come out with a ton of debt. And like, do I really want to go party for 4 years to be in a bunch of debt, to go do a bunch of classes just to do the classes? Like, I'm not even picking a career. I don't know what I want my career to be. And so that's where I kind of took a step back and was like, okay, let me actually just figure out what I want for like a year or two. And then I'll go to college. Then I'll go do the classes and I'll know why I'm trying to go to college. Because right now I have no idea why I want to go other than it sounds fun and I'm going to party. And so I ended up making that decision, which I'm super, super grateful for, that I feel like at that age, I even had the like, thought process that took me there. And so I stayed home and, again, right after high school, it was just like, okay, I'm out of high school and I'm kind of just hanging out, doing my thing. And very quickly, I'm like, oh, snap, I have no money. Like, I'm not making any money. I need to like get a job or something. And so I, started looking for jobs. In the meantime, I was creative, doing music stuff and doing, I was DJing a bit. I was producing some music. Like that was kind of like the passion stuff I had already kind of started doing throughout high school, was making music. And so I was, again, just DJing, and I would DJ here and there and get paid a little bit, get paid 100 or 200 bucks DJing. But again, I very quickly figured out that wasn't enough money to like live. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like I need to get a job. And so I started looking at jobs and just like looking at all kinds of different stuff. I ended up getting a really cool job actually working on a boat, like taking tourists snorkeling. And I was like, this is it. I've made it. Like, this is the only job I'll ever need. Like, I get to go out on a boat. I get to like be out in the water. I get to like, go free dive and tie up the boat to moorings. And and then I was like, I'm going to be the captain of this boat one day. Like, that was it. And, in like within 3 months, I was like, I hate this. What am I doing? And like, it was like, that was my first like introduction. It was like, at first I was super excited about it, but that faded really quickly. And I started realizing I was just getting in a really bad like habit and routine. I would work all day. I would then come home and just like play video games and smoke and just like, like there was and I just turned into this cycle. And after 3 months, I realized I was like, I don't like, and then I started looking around me. I started looking at all the boat captains on the boats. I looked at my boat captain. I was like, they're 50, 60, 70. They all got skin cancer. They all, aren't happy. And like, I was like, is this really what I want to do? Is this really like where I'm going to go for 40 years? And so again, then I started questioning that. And I kind of already came to the conclusion that I didn't want to do this. And so, again, I was, DJing and doing that kind of thing. And I was making some money doing that, and it was like kind of growing a little bit on the side. What's funny is like I hadn't even really considered it like as it being a business. Like in my mind, it wasn't a business. It was just something I did, and then I got paid sometimes. So I didn't really have the like full realization that I was like already kind of doing business kind of things, or had like some entrepreneurial thing going on. It was just something I did. And again, I kind of figured out and learned through doing it and getting paid more. And then, they started asking me to do like the high school dance or to do like a graduation party or like, different things or a wedding. And that's when I realized I didn't actually want to do it for money because I took the passion out of it. All of a sudden, they're telling me what I need to play. They're telling me what I need to do, where I need to be. And again, it was like now the thing that I really like to do, even though they're paying me way more, I might make 500, 800 bucks here, where I was only making 100 doing it for like some friends or something, but it wasn't fun anymore. And it took the passion out of me wanting to do it. And so I was like, okay, I don't like this job. I don't really want to do this for money. And so that's when, again, and I think this happens for a lot of people at some point in their life. You have some sort of thing and you're like, I want this type of outcome. And when you make that request, you make that ask, something in your life shows up. And if you take action on that something, it's going to lead to the next step for you to get that outcome. And so, again, after about a year of working at the spot, I still was working there because I didn't really have any other options. My friend reached out to me and I was like, hey, I'm starting this business. Do you want to do it with me? And we were like, that was my introduction to like a direct sales company. We were selling energy drinks. And so that was like my introduction to it. And I was just like, cool, like, yeah, I don't really want to have this job. So let's go for it. Let's try it. And so that was what kicked it off. And, I went all in. I like got super excited. I was like, I'm going to be rich in like a year for sure. And so I made my first $1,000 check in like whatever, a month or something, a couple months maybe. And then I didn't show up to work one day. I ended up getting fired. So now I'm like, I'm all in on this business. This is it. I got this. And then like 2-3 months in, I don't have a job and I just fell flat on my face. Like I had no experience. I didn't know what I was doing. Everything, all the money I had made early on, like there wasn't any more coming in. And I was like, whoa, it kind of got hit by reality. But the beautiful thing that happened, that's why I say like, you make a request, that first step is going to like present itself and then you need to act on it. And then that's going to lead you to the next step. It might not be the final step. It might not be, the thing you do forever, but it's going to be the thing that starts leading you in the direction of the goal and the dream that you want.
Yeah.
And that was that for me.
I can actually like relate to that because, I'm a teacher by profession and it took me some time to kind of figure out like I love kids. I wanted to like empower them and to help them to be creative and think for themselves and like, well, that's our future and it's so important. And then you're kind of hit by reality, like when you come out into the real world and it's like, this rule and that rule and this administration and angry parents and blah 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 and like more and more stuff that you actually didn't sign up for. Like no, this was not what I signed up for. I want to be there for the kids. Like that's my passion. And where like that's like 1/4 or 1/3 maybe if it was lucky of the time that I had. The rest was just things that I really didn't want to sign up to. Like I remember just sitting with a kid that was like completely devastated because he done this national test that we have in Sweden and actually I think that he actually had like what is it called when dyslexia, like, when you can't but and it was like he just couldn't figure out the text and stuff like he didn't know that yet. Like I was just figuring that out, but his self-esteem was just gone. Like he was just like, I'm the worst, I can never do anything, like I'm stupid, I'm da da da. And I was like, I don't want to be in a system that does this to kids. Like no, I'm not going to do this any longer. And then like you said, it's like you kind of send out a prayer to the universe somehow. Like this is my line in the sand. Like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not stressing. I'm not, just not spending time with my kids for what? Like For
Yeah.
what, honestly? And then I think like just 3 weeks later, after it was like, I really was so clear inside, like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Then, you know, this opportunity just jumped into our laps. And that's when I
Yeah.
was like, boom, we need to
This
do
is it.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And like we said before, then I went to Christopher, like, can we like spend our savings on, you know,
Yeah.
this technology, this water technology? And it was like, but he trusted me, which I'm very happy for. Like he was just,
Yeah.
yeah, I trust you. You know, I know you're right when you have that feeling.
Yeah.
No, just
Yeah.
wanted to share that because I really like feel with you. I think there's so many people, they think they're going to find one thing, like
Yeah.
this is it, like this is my work, this is the one thing I'm going to do. But I think we're moving into an age where like well, for us, it's like we want that kind of financial thing to be there so that we can choose in the moment what we
Exactly.
want to do. What do we want to
Exactly.
do today? Do we want to
Yeah.
travel? Do like right now we're building up a like self-sustainable farm because that's what we're passionate about. Like
Mhm.
so, and it might be another time like you can actually choose what you do in your life. It's not like I am this and then that's it. Like that's what I'm going to dedicate my life to. Like,
Yeah, I love that. I so relate to that. And I think that's such an important point. And that kind of like almost ties into what I was saying earlier about the DJing thing where I like to do it, but it wasn't the thing that I necessarily wanted me to earn me my money
mhm.
because it
Yeah,
took away the
exactly.
thing that I
Yeah,
liked so much.
if you could have
And
just
so
done that.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And
Mm,
so the thing, and again we're saying like you make the request, you have the desire, and then the thing appears that gives you your first step going that way.
mm,
And for me, again, like I took that first step and I got what we would call like the taste of blood. I was like, I had a just enough success to where I was like, I'm hooked. And then the second thing that happened was I failed miserably, which made me realize that I need to actually learn the skills and the mindset and all of those things, which again was just the biggest blessing ever. Because who knows what would have happened in my life if I got rich at that time in my life? You know what I mean? Like that was not the right time for me to generate a bunch of money. And so what happened was I fell in love with personal development and growth. And I started reading books and listening to audios and all those things. I was like, okay, obviously, like I need to actually develop the skill sets and the mindset to facilitate what I would that taste of blood that I just actually experienced. And
mm,
so the next, 3, 4 years of my life were just trying like continuing to do personal development, trying a business, doing something with it, failing, and then, going back to like, okay, cool, I need some income, let me get a job while I figure out what my next attempt is going to be, right? And so just went through this cycle for a few years of like, okay, cool, trial and error, trial and error. Keep growing, keep learning, keep having experiences. And so, and eventually, I ended up doing a lot of media stuff, and that again broke me out of that grind that I was in because there was still always the grind on the back end on the output. And so, then it was, and I don't know if this has to do with it. Maybe it does. Maybe it was just part of the motivation and drive, and something different clicked in me. But we got pregnant and I knew I had a little daughter on the way, right? And so then, again, I was working a job at the time because I was trying to save as much money as I could to be able to like, make sure to take care of the family. And I didn't really want my wife to have to be working while she was, about to have a kid, and wanted her to be able to stay at home. So I was, working a lot. Like for a while, I had 2 different spots I was working at. I was weed whacking, I was doing coconut trimming, and, just hard labor. But while I was working, I'd be listening to audios. And then I would come home and then I would do whatever I needed to do around the house. And then I would like stay up and study at night and be up till 12, 1 in the morning. And then I would go do it again. Right. And so I was just like, got to figure this out. And again, I had my breakthrough with media in terms of being able to not have to work the job again. Again, we live in the coolest day and age nowadays because anything you want to learn, you can just go on the internet and download the data set. I spent like $1,000. I got a course, and in 3 months, I, you know, taught myself how to become a professional videographer and started booking weddings, booking real estate, music videos, all that stuff. And, you know, some of these shoots, especially early on for me at the time, it was like, oh, what? Like I get to go shoot a video and I'll make $2,000. And then it was $5,000. And I was like, wow, like I don't need to work anymore. I can just do this. But then that thing I talked about earlier happened again, where I realized that yes, this was cool and it was a way for me to generate income. But one, I was really passionate about the creative side of media and video. And two, even though I didn't have a job, quote unquote, through somebody else, I owned my own job. I was still trading time to generate the income. It wasn't like I could just keep generating income. And now I was on a, you know, instead of working 40, 50, 60 hours, I was working 70, 80, because now I'm trying to like make the edits and market myself and do all these different things. And so I found myself in a similar situation.
Yeah.
I mean, with our transport business.
Yeah, I can relate to you. I mean, from when I went out school, I just like, okay, soon I will figure out what I love to do, and you know, I will, you know, find something that I'm real passionate about. I never found that. I could never just like, I want to do this. No. So it was, I went into different businesses like restaurants and car detailing and you know, this really hard label, you know, like car detailing. You have to be like in chemical fumes, you know, 10 hours a day, you know. So but I just always were looking for that, you know, create my own time and just like own my own day, you know, basically. But and then we went into transport 2012 with the aim to have employees
to have more freedom, like,
you know, that could like carry us to have that freedom, you know. But it just became more and more work, you know, all the time. So we had no clue about these kind of businesses back then.
But I think a lot of people that go into entrepreneurship, if it's like video filming or like like we were thinking like if we just have enough employees and they can take care of things, like, but there were always problems, like a car broke down or some taxes that were like unexpected, or you know, some problems with some employee, whatever, like things always happen when you own your own business. And I mean, he was on the phone like 12 hours per day. Like I couldn't even talk to him when we had like, how many employees did we have?
15. And we were serving. I have 5 cars going on one company, and we have 8 cars serving 60 restaurants in Gothenburg. And you know, when you're picking up food for people to drive it home, it's very stressful because the customer always wants it now, and the restaurant, you know, they never do it right away. So to have that puzzle was really stressful. So just one day I was just crying in the car, absolutely crying. I can't do this anymore. You know what I mean? Had that line in the sand moment.
Yeah, that was your
and we both were like, we're done with this, you know. And then this offer came.
That's so cool.
It's like the same development of like, okay, figuring things out, and then like, oh, entrepreneurship, and then like, oh, there's another step. Like there's
and we also had our little side steps with cryptos and losing money, and you know, we wanted a quick fix, you know. Oh, like why do we need to build up in magic for 5 years?
Yeah, when we start to earn money, it's like, okay, let's put like $50,000 here.
Here, we can just put it in there and be free tomorrow, you know?
Gone, like.
Oh my God, I could relate more to that.
And I can see people still doing that, you know. It's like,
totally.
No, don't do it, you know.
Totally. I mean, there's always that desire of like, how do I just get the full outcome instantly? And there's so many shiny objects out there that you can chase that will promise you that outcome or that output. And yeah, it's just generally, you know, you know, I think a lot of people need to do that because they need to learn the lesson. But we live in a day and age where if you find the right people, you find the right platform, you find the right systems, you can get the outcome, you can get the lesson without the scar. you can get the result that you want without having to go through the, years and years and years and years of pain that I went through to try to figure this out. But again, you do need to find that. You need to find the right platform. You need to find the tribe. You need to, and even then, it's still not going to be easy. However, what you guys are referring to and what I was talking about as well is that there's a big difference because entrepreneurship has this outcome, this dream outcome, right? But most people don't realize how difficult business is and all those little nuances, just like you were talking about the cars and the deliveries and this, and same with me with video. And there is a better way. And I almost view it, and I haven't quite found the perfect name for it. I'm still kind of trying to figure out what the name for it is. But it's a form of hybrid entrepreneurship that gives you all of the benefits without a ton of the challenges, right? And so again, in a normal business, you need to think about everything. You need to figure out how to get your own employees. You need to figure out how to get all the inventory or buy all the cars or buy the food truck. Then you need to come up with the menu for the food truck or the restaurant. Then you need to, there's all these little incremental steps, and it all costs a lot of money, and it all takes a lot of time and a lot of trial and error. Most businesses don't make a profit for 5 years. 5 years until you've just broken even, right? And in that time, 50, 60, 70 or more % of those fail and quit, right? And so that's the challenge with traditional entrepreneurship. And that's why I think we live in an age now where we have such thing as a form of hybrid entrepreneurship, where you get all of the same benefits you wanted from entrepreneurship, which the benefits are time freedom, being able to work when you want to work, create your own schedule, and not work endless hours, right? So the time is super important. And you're still going to work, but one, you're going to probably be more passionate about the work, and you're going to do it a lot less than most people do, and most careers do, most businesses, most jobs do, right? Second is location freedom. A lot of businesses, they're like, oh, I'm going to start a business and get rich and travel the world. And you're like, no, you're going to be stuck to your food truck forever. You're going to be taking care of all the little things in your business forever. So you want a business that gives you that location freedom. I'm about to go to Thailand for 3 months. Doesn't matter. I can do the same work I do here. I can do it there. It makes no difference where I am. So that's the second piece, location freedom. Because when you have location freedom, you can do what I call lifestyle arbitrage. And arbitrage is basically so just to give you a basic example, pretty much anyone who sells anything does arbitrage. What you're doing is, say I owned a store here in Maui, and actually my parents owned a store. They sold it, but they owned a store here for a while. And what they would do is they would go to Bali and Thailand. They would buy products. Oh, no worries. So what they would do is they'd go to Bali and Thailand. They would buy products a lot cheaper and then sell them for a premium here. That's arbitrage. The difference between the cost over here and what you sell it over here, you make the spread or the profit in between of what you bought it for and what you got and what you sold it for.
The crypto platforms usually.
Like the crypto arbitrage, exactly. So arbitrage is just the difference in price, and it's done everywhere, every industry. If I'm selling food at a restaurant, I'm taking food, I'm producing it into something, and the spread is the profit I make. And so that is essentially arbitrage is creating something. So when I talk about lifestyle arbitrage, I'm talking about the fact that you can earn in USD, or you can earn in British pounds, or you can earn in euros, and then you can go to some other country and spend money in pesos or baht or rupiah, which you have a 2, 3, 4, 5x buying power on everything you earn. And so now you can just arbitrage lifestyle, right? And so again, benefit of having location freedom. And finally is financial freedom. You want to be able to do what you want when you want. You don't want to go to the grocery store or go eat out with your family freaking out about, oh my God, if I pay $100 on this meal, I can't pay my rent, you want to have that freedom. And we live in a day and age where in the last 50 years, the cost of living has gone up 4x. Wow. And wages, when you adjust for inflation, have gone up by 12 cents. 12 cents. So a fraction of a percent, right? And so when you adjust for inflation, everything's 4 times as expensive and no one earns any more money than they used to. So if you keep working a job, that's going to keep getting worse. You need to find some sort of alternative to the traditional way of making money, because otherwise you're just going to get destroyed by money printing. And that's why 50 years ago, you used to have one adult that worked in the house. You would own 2 homes, 2 cars, and you're working 30, 40 hours a week, just one person, you have your family, your wife stays at home. Now you got families that you have both adults working 2 jobs, and they still are paying rent and can't even afford to own a house, right? And so why is that? Because the cost of living's up 4x and income and wages haven't increased. What does that mean? You need to find your own non-traditional path to generating more money than it costs to live, so that you can actually have a decent lifestyle. Because otherwise you're essentially just a slave to the system, right? And so that's really the reality we live in. And it, like, a lot of people haven't had that reality check. They've just been told, go to college, get a good job, and, you know, work for 40 years and you'll have enough to retire on. That plan doesn't work anymore. You're not going to have enough money to retire on, and you're going to have a miserable life through the best, healthiest years, when you're young and when you're vibrant, when you can travel and when you can do sports and when you can do the things you love. You're going to waste all those years slaving away for money that doesn't even give you a good lifestyle. And so that's what we optimize.
More like a myth than a reality. You know, it's kind of, it is a powerful myth. They're like that, because actually when I quit my job, it was like 1 year into the business, and I was like, I remember talking to another colleague, like how much I was making. I built up this on the side, and she was just looking at me like, what are you doing here? Like, get out.
Yeah,
like,
but it still didn't get her to watch your webinar, right?
No, that's the thing. No, I talked to her. It's like, no, I can't be an entrepreneur. Like, I'm not that kind of person. You know, all these, and that's where the mindset comes in. But it's also like to actually believe and open your eyes to reality. But for me, for us, it's also about like, you know, I'm passionate about the kids. Like as a teacher, as like lots of work I've done is to get the kids to have a better future. And to have the kids have a great life, the parents have to have a great life, right? If they just see their parents struggle, and it's also like we were like stressing and nagging, and the relationship doesn't get good, and like so many things are, that's not giving your kids the best life either. And I think at least in Sweden and in Europe, there's a lot of kind of identification with your work. So at least when I also quit my job, I remember it was like a discussion between us where Christopher was still like a bit stuck in like, but that's a real job. Like, no, we have a family. We can't, that's a stable job.
Yeah, I was clinging on to the salary she got, the 25th, you know.
And then I was like, but I can make more like in 1 month than I do in a year as a teacher. Like, what's the problem?
But that's the bridge here. Like when we did it and we started the business with no system in place, we had to figure everything out ourselves, you know. But and now 5 years later, it comes to this that you have created. That's just and say, for example, there is a hardworking man or woman watching this, or you know, what we are offering right now, they might also like, oh, what's this system? It sounds like a scam, or, you know, but how do we get them over that, you know, to get them to really try it out and plug it in, you know? What can you talk a little bit to that, how you think around it?
Yeah, and I'm thinking about your vision with because you're creating something really amazing. Like we know, because we've been in the like online entrepreneurship struggling of like, blocked ads and funnels and data systems and email lists and da.
Now, because like someone who's working really hard with their hands, you know, hearing about a system that can really make you sit on the couch all day, basically. But that's like very big gap for some people to you know to bridge and really to
Yeah.
accept, you know.
To see it. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I come from that. My father really pushed me to the wall when I was young. You need a job, you know. He really scared me, you know.
Yeah.
I think we come from that. We're not really far from the Industrial Revolution, you know.
Right.
Our parents really struggled, you know, and their
Mhm.
parents were like in the trenches doing war, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But now we're really this. We are the first generation, you know, doing this, doing network marketing, direct selling, you know, cutting out all the middlemen, you know, so we can earn all that money,
Mm-hmm.
you know, instead of slaving for the system, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I see it now, you know. I just want everybody to see it, you know.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, and I can relate. And there's a handful of, and just so we know, like this just this isn't for everybody. And there's a handful of people who'll just never see it. And that's okay, you know, like that's on them. Everyone has their own prerogative and their own dream and their own that. And a lot of people might not realize that they're stuck in a rut. And some people don't want to get out. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. You're going to go through a period that is uncomfortable no matter what. And that's just the bottom line. But I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago, where it's like, look, like it like does it like whether you think this is a scam or whatever, like it really doesn't matter, because the system that you're in, the life that you're living right now, that's the real scam. And if if you're not able to see that, if you're not able to see that, then you're going to be stuck in that scam where they print money on demand, devaluing your money. So you're basically working for fake money that they're just printing. And you're going to work the best years of your life literally doing something you probably hate, and then you won't have enough money to retire on. And you're going to be like, and I've seen this from experience. My wife's mom, she's literally constantly stressed. Is this money going to last me until I die or not? Right? And maybe she has a couple 100,000. It's like, you're supposed to make, and you don't know how long you're going to live. You're going to live 10, 20, 30 more years. Like, how are you going to make that last? You know what I mean? It's like, and then her pension is like $1,000 a month. Like, how are you supposed to live on that? You know what I mean? And so it's, especially when every year that 1,000 is worth less. You know, every year there's a 7, 8, 12, depending on the year, depending how much money that they print, a depreciation of what that $1,000 is worth. And so, yeah, I think it's like really, it's going to come to like, you're going to need to have that light bulb moment, and you're going to need to take a hard look at what you're doing and question everything you've been told is the right thing and is the right whatever, and look at everything else from a neutral perspective. Regardless of, someone might have told you one day upon a time, maybe your mom told you, oh yeah, those online things are a scam or whatever. Like, make your own decision, take the time to really critically look at everything. And I hope that you see that like the traditional system is the real scam here. And all we're doing is we're just helping people be healthier. We're decreasing the pollution in the world, and we're helping people generate an income digitally by also helping other people. We're essentially just, and this is where this kind of ties back to what you're talking about with the system and what we've built and stuff like that. And it also ties back to what I was talking about earlier, where like you have your traditional entrepreneurial path, and that's great, but it's really hard. And there's a lot of variables. Or you have this like hybrid thing that I'm referring to as for now. And this hybrid entrepreneurship is essentially you get all of those benefits, the freedom, the income, the location, all that stuff, right? You get those benefits, but you don't need to, again, have all of those hardships and all of those hurdles. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to be challenging and it's not going to take time and you're not going to have to put in effort and you're not going to have to put in money. Like, yeah, you're still going to have to do those things. However, what we've built with our system and platform skips 80 to 90% of the hard work. Like, we've already figured out what you need to sell. We've already figured out how to sell it. We've made all the media. We've made the ads. We've made the funnels. We've made the automations. We've done all of the hard work that it really takes. And this is stuff that took me years to figure out how to do.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds simple, but it's a ton of work in the back end.
Yeah. It took me years to figure this stuff out. And now I've literally gotten 70-year-old ladies who've barely ever touched a computer running an ad in like 2 weeks with an operational funnel and a sales process. You know what I mean? And we got 17-year-olds coming in here making sales in their first 40 days, you know, where like it took me years to figure out how to do any of that kind of stuff. Right. And so
it's not something flimsy, just something you pulled up your, you know, from your back pocket just yesterday, you know.
Exactly. And I guess I'll give a little bit of context. After I went through all those years of struggle and challenge and trying things, that's what I had a breakthrough. I had a breakthrough building systems. And so for the last 7 years, that's what I've been doing, building systems for a number of network marketing companies, Forex companies, crypto companies, solar companies. Like what I've done is built systems all the way from the sales process to the onboarding to the duplication systems, step by step by step by step. And so I've just continued to build systems. And we essentially just like a year and a half ago, where like we keep building systems for other companies and getting paid like 6 figures to do it. Like, why don't we just build our own system? Why don't we just build our own platform that does all those things we do, but better, and actually have ownership of it, and then make it available to everybody, right? And so again, easier said than done. We're like, oh yeah, we'll be done in 3 months. And, you know, we worked our faces off for like 9 months to build this thing out. But now it's just been incredible. I just had a call, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, with a guy. He's been in the space for some time, so he has some experience. And you know, he's done all kinds of stuff. And we were literally having this conversation, and he's just like, dude, people have no idea what you've built. Like, they have no idea what this used to take. He's like, I came in here, I've only been here, you know, last month. I made $35,000 off of $500 of ad spend running into your funnel. And all I had to do was just go in and set up the funnel in like a day. And then I just turned on traffic from Facebook to it. And I've just been sitting here closing quads, you know? And so it's just like, and it's just so crazy because like, especially what's cool having a conversation with him is like, he understands what it used to take and what it normally takes to do this stuff. And that's why I talk about this. Like, we have now vehicles and systems and processes where you can have all the benefits of entrepreneurship without the 4 or 5 years of having zero profit and working hard and then still being stuck to your food truck or to your whatever business you started, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't have to worry about employees and all these other things. Yeah, maybe you get a few freelancers to lower your effort. You get a virtual assistant out of the Philippines for $400 to $800 who does all your things for you, you know, and you work 10, 15 hours a week, maybe. Like, that's as complicated of a business structure as you need, and you can generate whatever you want. Like, got people generating 6 figures a month, you know what I mean? And you could do more than that, right? And so
it's just just having a system so complex that you have. If you do it yourself, something breaks down. You have to find what's broken down. You have to fix it. You have to, you know, that takes time.
Fumbling in the dark.
But right now you have actually just like a support, like 3 ways, you know, if that doesn't work, go there, you know, or go there. Yep. We have had questions answered almost immediately every time, you know.
That's why we're smiling so hard. It's like,
yeah,
we know what it's like.
But I just want to play the devil's advocate for the most critical. Like, we lay out the perfect scenario here, but the critics going to come on. But if it's so good, why do you give it away?
Well, that's what's cool. And I love that question. And that's always been, you know, a question. Why would you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, first of all, like, we gain leverage from helping other people succeed. And this is, again, this is the game. A lot of people, and you're going to see this a lot online. So let me just be completely honest with you. There is a ton of sketchy shit on the internet. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. There's lots of scammy stuff. I've lost literally hundreds of thousands of dollars like that. Like, it happens. There's lots of things out there. And so definitely you need to be careful, and you need to vet things, and you need to see what's going on. Now, a lot of other business models, and this isn't necessarily a scam one, but like there is other models out there where, for example, there's lots of courses and stuff like that. Now, in general, courses are great. The challenge with a lot of those things is that the person's like objective is to sell their course, right? And so when they sell their course, their job's over, and that's it. They're done. They've made their money and they're happy. They have no incentive to continue helping you. They don't actually care if you use their course and succeed or not, because it doesn't make them more money if you succeed with their course.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where our model is so different. And this is what you always need to look at when you're looking into business, when you're looking at business models. You need to look at what are the incentives. What is the incentive for the business owner? What is the incentive for the user? And you need to make sure that those incentives are aligned, right? So in the example I just gave, the incentive for the business owner is just to sell the course. They make their money when this course is sold, and that's the end of it. So like, do I need to update the course? Well, it takes a bunch of work and I don't make any extra money if I update the course, you know, so why would I update the course, you know? And so those are the kinds of things that you need to think about. Now, again, I'm not saying there's lots of good, I'm a huge advocate of courses. I think everybody, and even earlier I was talking about me personally not going to college. I think education is one of the most important things out there. And we live in a day and age where you can shorten your learning curve exponentially by purchasing courses and learning from real experts in the field, right? And so I'm not like advocating against any of those things. I'm just saying in every business that you look at and every opportunity you look at, what are the incentives, and are the incentives aligned between the seller and the buyer and the overall dream outcome? And that's what's so cool about our business. In our business, we gain leverage when we help people succeed. That's why we have a whole vetting program. Like I actually just the other day, I had a call with someone who was trying to buy. I told him no. Like, why? Because I knew he wasn't going to be able to, he wasn't going to follow through. And I knew he wouldn't see results and success with that. So what does that mean for me? That means I have somebody in my business that I need to babysit who isn't going to be successful or generate results for himself or me, right? And so what does that mean? That means that there's no point, because again, this makes sense because our incentives are aligned. Because on the other hand, I want to vet people and I want to get studs in this. I want to have a community of incredible people like you guys who get it, who are intelligent, who are active, who know the steps that they need to take, who are going to follow through and follow the dream and make it all happen, right? And what happens when I do that? We gain leverage. And that's the whole game of business. The only way that you really break free, because again, this is why the traditional business food truck is hard, because you have very little leverage. Like even if you have a bunch of employees, the margins and all of that, the leverage is very small. And the only way you get freedom is through leverage. The only way you have time freedom is if you have automation systems or other people that do a bunch of activities that generate money for your business without you needing to physically be there, right? And so our business model is beautiful because every single business partner or person that is a part of our business and our system helps us gain a degree of leverage. So when they succeed, we succeed. And so our objective is to create the absolute best systems that actually truly make people successful, actually truly help people have the result, the outcome, and the income they want, because when they succeed, we all succeed, right? And so that's why I love this business model so much, because everybody's incentives are aligned. We all want the next person to win, and we're going to do everything we can. Just like inside of our process and system, you were talking about the incredible support we have. Why do we have such good support? Because we know that people are going to get stuck at times. That's just a part of business. And
also that you are there on the other side. That's, I mean, I can be the biggest critic of anything, you know. That's why I just but I feel with you guys, you are transparent, you are accountable, you are there on the other side, you are willing to jump on calls and face us. I have no strange feelings about this, and I haven't had anything. That's so strange, because
that's unusual.
That's because I usually lay at night with, there's something I didn't get, that, you know, there's something strange here, you know, but I didn't get that feeling at all with you guys. It's just, you know, you're just there, and it's like if something is, you're also open to ideas. I've seen that. Like, okay.
And that's the beauty.
You're not closed up, like, we know this, we are better than you. You're just open to feedback, you know?
We want to create the absolute best product there can be. Like, and we're like long-term objective. And that's why, again, as you become more successful, you start having longer time horizons. So first, when you think about business and you think about like being successful, you're like, how do I get rich in a month? right? And then you gain some experience and you're like, how do I get rich in a year? And then you gain more experience and you're like, how do I build an empire in a decade? Right.
Yeah.
And so your thought process starts changing.
Yeah.
And so that again, for us, that's how we're approaching this. We have really long time horizons, and our objective is to build one of the, if not the best online business opportunity system there is on the internet, period. Like, not even in our industry or our niche. Like, we want to make the absolute best product possible, leveraging all of the newest technology, leveraging artificial intelligence, leveraging automation, leveraging all the tools we have while still having an incredibly positive impact on the world, right? And so it's like, how do we achieve that? Well, the only way to really achieve it is to try it, break it, fix it. And the more people we have coming in, trying, testing it, using it, breaking it, the faster we can, and you'll hear me use this word a lot, iterate it. It's all about iteration. How do we iterate the process faster? Because we know there's no way you're going to be perfect right away. And there isn't even really ever a full ideal of perfection. There's always things you can change and iterate and make adjustments to, right? And so how do we do that faster? We let everybody who use it tell us what could be better, right? And then we can change it faster and faster and faster and faster, and continue to bring members and people into the team. And also, again, a huge part of this is like, it's not about us. I want to be able, and this comes back to that leverage thing I was talking about. I want to be able to pass the torch. I want to pass the torch to you guys. I want to pass the torch to your leaders. Why? Because that means in 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, I can be a lot less active and the business can continue to grow, right? And that's where you'll see this a lot in business. People get really big egos and they want it to be all about them, and they can't let go. They can't let go of the torch, you know? And so again, we realize that comes with building leadership and building community and letting the community members be the one that step forward. And the people that want to lead will come forward on their own, and they'll lead in their own ways, and they'll bring value in their own ways. And we've already seen that happen, and it's beautiful. We have weekly calls right now, multiple weekly calls right now that exist due to the community, due to people being like, hey, I'm really skilled at this and I can run this call every single week for everybody. You know, they take an hour, 2 hours out of their week and they run a call and educate everyone on a magic, or educate people on mindset, or whatever it is, right? We have another one right now. She's doing a 4-week series of 4 weeks. She's been doing sales for a decade, and she's just like, hey, I'll do a whole course for everybody, right? And so we're now continuing to just have this beautiful environment and community where everybody contributes and everybody's incentives are aligned, because the more we actually help people succeed, the more we all succeed. And yeah, that's really like where, and again, if you're here and you're a skeptic, like, just try it. What's the, like, test it out. And if you don't like it, don't do it, you know? And
but I remember that. I remember exactly the moment where I had this, I have this 1 hour webinar that I was going to watch. Like, should I watch it? Maybe it's a scam, maybe not. Like, should I just spend 1 hour? And like, my God, am I thankful? Like, I looked at that webinar for 1 hour. It's like, and now I'm completely like a life change.
And we can honestly say that what the engine, you know, the offer in the back end that we promote is so stable. It's been around for half a century, and it's gonna be here for a long time, you know. So we can really, and it's
like all
so,
roads go back to that.
it's so stable. It's the same like this platform, you know, just reflects the platform, I think, the offer. So
yeah, exactly. And that's why we picked the offer, because we need something that we can build for 10, 20, 30 years. Like, and that's a lot of people, and I made this mistake. Honestly, like, you can become a millionaire in 2 to 3 years. No joke. It took me way longer. Why? Because I was chasing shiny objects and trying to do it fast. Like, if you try to actually go do the right thing, even if it takes 2 to 3 years, you'll have the compounding interest of that, and you'll see way more results way faster, especially if you use a process and a system like ours, because you're going to literally get everything that took me 10 years to figure out in like a week. It's
and
crazy.
also how I mean, okay, we talk about becoming millionaires and stuff, and that's possible, but just replacing your salary, like
Yeah,
if you really
exactly.
like it, we don't give anybody like, oh, this is going to happen to you. You have to put in the work and anything. We're not
Totally.
promising anybody anything, but
Yeah.
we can really say how simple it is just to replace the salary so you can have your whole day for yourself, you know. And
Yeah.
that is, I mean, how much is that time worth, really?
Well, and when it comes to time, time is the one asset you can't create more of.
Exactly.
Whereas money, you can always make more money. Time is the one asset where you can't add more hours to the day or add more years to the end. It's like that is the asset that we optimize for. That's why I do this business. Why? Because I want to be able to do what I want. Any day I want, I can do nothing and hang out with my daughter all day if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Like I choose to do this because I love it and I'm still super passionate about it. And I'm not saying like life is not about not working. Working is great. Working is like what drives us and gives passion and gives excitement and all these things. Like I love this stuff. I'm passionate about this stuff. And so yeah, I think it's a I don't know. I say this all the time, and it's because we just live in the coolest time ever. Like we live in a time where like it's literally like the Matrix where like Neo like plugs in the thing and then like instantly knows every martial art, you know, and like just downloads the data set. Like that's the time frame we live in. And it's like you can literally have anything you want and all the information you need to do that is available. And there's tons of people all around the world that have already done it that will help you do it and create the same outcome for yourself.
And I think one important aspect as well, because I actually worked as a coach for 10 years as well. And I also did research together with like psychologists and actually brain researchers and like lots of people. And if you look at also, I mean, kind of stages of development, if like Maslow's the stair of needs and everything, it's like a lot of people are still stuck in just getting the basic needs. You know, when you're stuck there, you're kind of, you can't really see the horizon. You're like so much in survival mode, like you said, with the time frames as well. And then when that's fixed, then you start to like slowly look to the horizon and like, oh, but maybe I want to quit my job. Like maybe I want to like just have some more time with my kids, like da da da. And so you start to kind of rise to the next level.
Yeah.
And you rise and you rise. I won't go through all of them, but in the end, just like you said, it's more like, okay, then what? Like, okay, I have the money, we have our farm, we have this, we've traveled, we have time with our kids. Then what? Like, what's next when you have all those things and when you kind of like, okay, I've done these things. And then it really comes to actually helping others, like making a positive impact. That's what really matters when you see others win, when you see others thrive and live their lives like in completely different ways than they would have if they were stuck in that kind of just survival mode. I mean, that's what really makes you happy. And that's kind of also when you're in survival mode, you can't really understand that. Like, what? Why should I just, you know, throw my time away to everyone else? And you know,
Totally. No,
I
it
stop
literally feels
myself
it's
from
the
doing
best
that. That
feeling.
is actually my passion. And he's like, come on, calm down. Like,
There is no feeling like it. When you help somebody win and you see them win and they're excited and you see their breakthrough, it's like there's no feeling like
no,
that. And
exactly. That's why I
once you
love
have it,
what you created here, because I know so many more people like in the team of like hundreds of people that we built are going to have this tool so that they also can succeed. And it's like in the beginning, you know, when I looked at this and like I was looking at this webinar, it's like, where's the hook? Like, where's the bad thing? Like, you know, and then over the years, it's like there isn't one hook. Like there is not one bad thing. It's
No,
more like
but
you
it's like,
fall in love with it more and more. And it sounds so cheeky when you say it, but it's true. Like you really fall in love with this model and this way of working so deeply that I could never imagine doing anything else, you know.
yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
Something I'll add, and this is kind of like on the what is it really going to take? Because obviously, like, we've built something incredible, and there's processes and systems, and there's lots of things on the internet that can get you the outcome and the result. But we also, like, and this is something that we're like we put a lot of like emphasis on this throughout the process, is that this isn't some get rich overnight, get rich quick system. Like, that just doesn't really exist. Like, that's not a real thing. And so you have to have the realization that, first of all, you need to have a time horizon, and you need to think about this like, okay, cool. If I can get to a point where I'm making whatever your living expenses are, 5K, 10K, whatever you need to generate, if I can do that, that's very achievable. And you can do that in 12 to 18 months. Absolutely. But 12 to 18 months can feel like a long time. And you might get a month or two in and be like, why don't I have the result yet? And so that's something that we always put a lot of emphasis on, is like, you need to make the commitment that you're going to do this. If you're going to do it, you need to have the commitment, because otherwise, and this is when my life changed, because I had the commitment in my mind. I was like, I will not stop until I get the outcome. Right. And so once you have that mindset, then it doesn't matter how long it takes. Right. And so it's absolutely achievable. You can absolutely do this, and commit a year and a half, and what, 5 to 15 hours a week, and you're going to see insane results. But again, that being said, like, it is going to take time. It is going to take work. It is going to take effort. You are going to be uncomfortable. You're going to do things you've never done before. You're going to be stuck at moments, and you're going to feel like, holy shit, how am I going to break through past this? And you do need to have that awareness and have that realization and know that going into it. And so I tell people this all the time. You need to treat this like this is going to be, and I'm not even saying just our business, whatever it is, you want to pursue entrepreneurship, you want to do it doesn't matter what it is. If you're going to break out of your pattern and break out of the system, you need to think about it like, this is the hardest thing I am ever going to do, the hardest thing you're ever going to do. But it is also the most rewarding and most fulfilling thing you will ever do. And so, again, all the challenges and the time and the effort, they're all way more than worth it. And the fulfillment you feel, and the gratitude, and the impacting other people, and all those things are going to be way bigger than the difficulty level. But when you're getting started, you need to be aware of that and know that there's going to be that period that feels hard. It's just like, if you were to start a sport tomorrow that you've never played before, you're going to suck for at least 6 months. At least 6 months, especially if you compare yourself to anybody who's elite in that sport. If I was to, you were telling me you do motocross, if I was to get serious about motocross, I'm going to be terrible and probably fall a lot for at least 6 months, at least, right? If not more. And it's going to take me at least 2 to 4 years to really get like okay and pretty good, right? And so it's the same with anything. There's no difference here. You have to come in knowing that, and have that expectation, and make the decision that you want freedom, and you're going to do whatever it takes, even if that means a year or 2 years. And for me, it's like, it's beyond that. I have the commitment for life, and I know, because again, I'm passionate about it, that, like, once you get hooked and you start doing it, you can't turn back, because you just find, like, I would be bored if I wasn't doing anything. I could chill and do very little, but like, I love doing this, and I love the aspect, and it's the same with anything else. And a lot of people talk like, oh, it has to be your passion, like, figure out the thing you love and just do that forever. And for me, it wasn't really that. Like, I have things I love. I have other passions like DJing. Now I go and DJ for free because I love to do it. And now I get creative with videography because I like to do it. But it's something that you can do for an extended period of time. The passion will come by doing it. You don't have to start passionate about it. You really, like, and most people, what they think they're passionate about, it's just the thing they're good at because they did it for a long time, right? I have a friend, he's a great chef. His cooking is his passion, but it's his passion because he was bad at it and then did it for 5-10 years straight and then is really good at it and now loves it because he's good at it. So most things we're passionate about is things that we did a lot of times, got good at, and so now it feels good and feels fun because every time you do it you kick ass at it, you know. And so that you know, a lot of people I think get held up. They're like, oh, but is building an online business my passion, or is this thing my passion? It doesn't have to be your passion. Find the vehicle. And again, I optimize for leverage. Like when I look at my business, there's lots of other businesses and things that I've been more, I'll quote unquote, passionate about. But they don't produce the output or their leverage. And when I'm talking about leverage, I'm talking about the amount of work you put in and the output from the work, right? And so if one activity takes whatever 100 hours for 10 units of output, but there's another activity that for 100 units of or hours of work you get 1,000 units of output, well, you should probably do the one that has the higher output. And so our entire business model is how do we do the least amount of work and get the most output on the back end? And that's what we've optimized the system to do. It's like, how do you, and even if you spend the same amount of work, there's no cap on what you can earn, right? And so, and I'll give an example in the real world. If you were to be, say you became a really, really high level at construction, right? You were the best Finnish carpenter around. Well, how much do you earn as a Finnish carpenter? Like at most 100 an hour, probably. Like that's like, you're not paying most carpenters more than 30, 40, 50 an hour, even if they're good. And maybe there's some elite carpenter out there that charges $100 an hour. Well, how long did that take you to get there? 10 years? Well, if you spent 10 years on this business, you're making thousands an hour, not $100 an hour. You can work 5-10 hours a week and make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in a month. You know what I mean? And so, and again, like I say this because like I've had moments where I've experienced this. I've made $300K in a single month before doing almost nothing. Why? Because high leverage. And that's what it really comes down to. How do you find the vehicle that has the same amount of input or less input for an exponential return? And again, that's what we've optimized this business around, but while still taking into account longevity. Go ahead.
I know, I just have to say, it's just funny. We actually have a Finnish carpenter on our team. So Joni, like, listen to what Dabo is saying here. And he's like, oh, just one foot in, 1 foot out. But I just want to make clear, like with the vehicle point, because Tarek, that is our upline mentor friend, he usually, like, it's such a clear analogy. Like if you are going on the motorway and you have a goal, like this is my goal, this amount of way, and you're going on a bike, like you're gonna get there really slow. And but if you're in a Lamborghini, which is like your platform, it's gonna maybe take some more time for you to kind of learn how to drive it, and it's kind of complicated. And oh my God, like that's how it feels like for us right now. Like, okay, we're in this like super car, but we're like just learning how to navigate and drive it and like figure it out.
Just fix the seats and put gas in it, and we go, and we figure it out.
And the ad spend is the gas. Like, okay, but it just goes so much faster and easier and nicer. Like, that's the possibility.
Yeah, I love that.
And just the feeling when you have leads coming in, watching the system, it's like they come into your business. It's just wow, you know. It's like we haven't even started with the ads yet. So
and we had like a good car before that, but now it's like one step.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what's so cool about this. And for anybody watching who actually is like, what are you guys talking about? We have a completely free discovery process that you can go through. I'm sure they can get you the link and go through it. Like it's free. There's 3 hours of content where we literally break down our entire business model in detail, step by step, why, how. There's no commitment. If you are like, this business sucks, I have no interest, that's okay. all good, but there's no financial commitment, nothing. The only thing you have to gonna invest is a couple hours. Figure out what it is, learn what it is. And even if you don't do it, you're almost for sure going to learn something. And if you have another business or some other area in your life that you want to apply this to, you can take what you learn in there and apply it to whatever else you're doing, and you're going to gain some value from going through it. So anyone watching this who wants to kind of get a better feel for like what we're talking about in the specific offer we're talking about, go check that out. Get the link and check it out. Go through it.
For sure, for sure. And it's super professional, Dabo, what you created there. And yeah, we're so happy to
There
give
is
this to everyone.
no ambiguity, and just very clear, and it's explained in detail in there. So just take your time, as Dabo says, and go through it.
But guys, I think we've talked for a long time now.
That tends to happen, especially when you get on with me. I talk a lot, so
no, same here. But it's yeah, we share an enthusiasm. Like that's
Exactly.
for sure. And I guess it's in the end like to make the impact, but also kind of live your life, like how that is the real value, right? Like that.
Yeah.
What is more valuable than your life, your time? I can't think of anything like, and you can fill it if you have the freedom to fill it in with whatever you choose.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'll add to that, and I'll say everybody out there, like anyone just in general, if you see this, like optimize for your lifestyle. Like you should be figuring out and thinking about everything in your life to optimize for what your ideal lifestyle looks like. And focus on that. Does that mean more time with your family? Does that mean more time with your kids? Does that mean more time in other countries? Does that mean more time pursuing the sport you like, whether that's surfing or whatever it is? Like, what does that look like? And what activities, what things can you do to create more of that optimal lifestyle? Does that mean having a 3-hour morning routine where you cold plunge and do a bunch of other things? Is that what like drives you and makes you excited and what you want to do? Then figure out how to optimize for that. And so I think often we look at the short term first, like, oh, how do I make money right now for this moment or this month or my rent? And I would challenge you to do the opposite. Think about what is my work backwards, figure out your dream outcome, build the entire vision, everything. Spend some time, sit down for hours, go watch YouTube videos on every house that you would like to live in. Like, spend the time, create the vision, build what that dream outcome looks like, and then work backwards, as opposed to just thinking, what am I doing at the end of this month? How am I paying my rent? Invert that. Start with the biggest dream you could possibly think of, and like the dream should be so good it should, and so big it should take more than one lifetime to achieve it. And start there, work backwards. Okay, cool, what are the things that I can put energy and effort to that get me closer to that goal? And again, one step at a time, one foot forward, and anybody can do it. We live in a day and age, there's literally like poor 13-year-old kids in India right now making money on their smartphone. Like, you can do this. We're all capable of doing this. It just comes down to you creating the vision and then taking steps towards achieving that. And yeah, well, I literally send you all the love and energy and inspiration and whatever I can to hopefully inspire you to get after that and do it, because I'll tell you, it takes adversity, it takes challenge. There's going to be moments where you're going to question yourself, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
Thank you, Dabo. That's so inspirational. Great to get to know you more and hear your story, and sharing the insights on your journey, because that's another part of this. The more we share, the more we share our journeys and our insights and our wisdom, because we all have that, right? The better this world becomes. And that's what I believe in. The more you thrive, the more you actually can live your life like it's supposed to, the more beautiful this world becomes. Like, I'm so convinced of that.
Totally.
So thank you so much for being on with us, Dabo.
Thank you guys. It was a joy. It was fun. I love doing this. So we'll do it again, I'm sure.
Do it again, yeah. Thank you.
See you on the inside. Yeah.
I'll see you guys on the inside.
We will. Thank you for today, Dabo. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Much love.
Much love. Thank you. Bye bye.